Good Yontif. I'm Rod Bender, the current president of Beth David, and I'd like to begin by offering my sincere appreciation to everyone who worked so hard to make our high holiday observance this year such a warm and meaningful experience. Thank you to Rabbi Kalish and Cantor Goodlev for leading a mix of beautiful indoor, outdoor, and multi-access worship opportunities, and for organizing the touching photograph and video montage. Thanks also to everyone involved in our first Erev Rosh Hashanah concert, which was a huge success despite the rain, and may be the start of a new Beth David tradition. Kudos to Jane Horowitz and her team of volunteers for making 300 jars of Tunisian pumpkin jam, which were included in the high holiday gift bags, packed and distributed by Executive Director Jill Cooper and several volunteers. We appreciate Jane, Toby Gang, and their husbands, Rich and Joel, for beautifying the patio, Beth David Men for providing ushers, all of the Choosing Life speakers for sharing their powerful personal stories, and our new education director, Rabbi Elisa Capel, and the faculty for organizing children's programming. And as always, none of this would have been possible without Jill, office staff Ned Krepke and Chedva Sterenko, and facilities manager Tony Artis, along with Susie Artis and Tyrone Wood, handling every detail. When you're in temple leadership, it's easy to get caught up in attending meetings, replying to emails, and other responsibilities. When that happens, I try to remind myself why our professionals, staff, lay leaders, and volunteers spend all of this time and effort. Sometimes this can be as simple as attending summer services on our patio, sitting at dusk under the trees and joining in familiar prayers and melodies is a perfect way to decompress after a busy week, reconnect with old friends, and make new ones. Another reminder this summer was seeing new energy in and around our building from young member and prospective families and their kids, having fun at our Beth David Boogie dance parties, September Tot Shabbat, and 2 spectacular religious school open houses. Personally, over the past year, my family experienced moments that reinforced for us how Beth David can make a difference. As we navigated a difficult family health issue, we were uplifted by calls, notes, and meals from fellow congregants, clergy, and staff. Separately, last October, when my wife Carrie lost her father after a lengthy illness, Rabbi Kalish and Cantor Goodlev supported us with compassion and sensitivity in mourning this loss. Then in January, my bout with COVID while we were managing the other health issue required me to move out of our home for 2 weeks. After spending the first week in a depressing Airbnb apartment, Beth David friends who happened to be traveling thoughtfully offered me their house in exchange for the very reasonable fee of watering their plants. Hopefully I didn't kill them all. I know I'm fortunate to have made close relationships like these through involvement in synagogue life. But no matter how involved you may choose to be, we can all take pride in being a part of this community, especially during the very challenging last 2.5 years. From such accomplishments as creatively sustaining the religious school and B'nai Mitzvah programs, and how wonderful was it to be with several of those recent B'nai Mitzvah students last night as they finally read from the Torah up here on the Bima. Keeping our community connected through Zoom Shabbat services and events like Shofar on the Roof, the Parking Lot Key Party, and Encanto Purim Spiel, leading important social justice initiatives as a founder of the Religious Action Center's Pennsylvania affiliate, and building interfaith partnerships with our neighbors for Martin Luther King Day, Thanksgiving, and other observances, Beth David continues to be, as our mission says, a community of seekers, learners, and doers pursuing the best in ourselves and repairing the world. This Sunday, the high holidays continue with the beginning of Sukkot, a festival of thanks for the fall harvest. A Sukkot tradition is to build a sukkah, or a temporary hut, in which to enjoy meals and, for the truly outdoorsy, sleep. This evokes the 40 years the Israelites lived in temporary shelters while wandering the wilderness after the exodus from Egypt. We will construct our own sukkah this Sunday morning and gather there for mitzvah night and dinner Sunday evening. I hope you'll join in these fun celebrations and bring your family and friends. In fact, inviting members of the larger community to share meals in the sukkah is an important part of the holiday. In thinking about these traditions, it struck me that our staff, lay leaders, and many others are engaging in similar work to help ensure Beth David remains a welcoming and inclusive spiritual home for much longer than the next 40 years. As immediate past president Lisa Miller announced at Yom Kippur a year ago, a small group of extremely generous congregants has come together to retire Beth David's $1.1 million mortgage. This is a vital step towards making our synagogue financially sustainable for the long term. In addition, through the hard work of Jill Cooper, our office staff, and past officers Tuli Kanan and Pat Panaski, over the past several months, we've transitioned to modern membership management and bookkeeping systems. These systems have simplified administrative tasks for members and provide more timely and accurate information to staff and lay leaders. As we're seeing right now, today, 2 new permanent automated video cameras in the sanctuary, funded by a generous congregant, have enhanced the experience for remote and in-person participants in services, B'nai Mitzvah, and other events. And at our religious school, Rabbi Capel is already building connections with young families and students and has added important flexibility through a new online Hebrew instruction option for 3rd to 6th grade students who find it difficult getting here during the school week. All of these steps are helping to construct a solid foundation for Beth David's future. Now, you're probably wondering if this is when he's going to ask us to make a donation to help support this future. Don't worry, I am going to do that. But before I do, I first want to encourage you to consider getting involved in ways that don't require writing a check. This might mean attending a Shabbat service, joining your kids at a family education program, signing up for one of our Shema small shared interest groups, volunteering for a social action project, supporting families experiencing homelessness through Beth David's work with Family Promise of the Main Line, formerly known as IHN, enjoying a sisterhood or Beth David men event, or even offering your time and skills to create a new program or join a committee. I promise any of these will make you feel more connected to our Beth David community. And now, the financial pitch. As I hope everyone knows, the donors who offered to retire our mortgage challenged the rest of the congregation to join them in ensuring that Beth David remains financially viable for years to come. This challenge builds on the evaluations and strategic planning that our board and committees have been undertaking over the past 2 years. These evaluations taught us that we have a high satisfaction rate among our congregants, and despite the many hurdles facing synagogues and religious institutions generally, this year may end up being the second in a row with positive growth in our membership base. However, we've also learned that Beth David faces certain obstacles that our peers do not face. These include relying disproportionately on annual commitments, school fees, and philanthropy due to a lack of an endowment and revenue from alternative uses of our facility, while attempting to build back the membership losses of prior years. To meet this challenge, the board launched our 3 Paths to a Thriving Future campaign. This campaign, which aims to raise an additional $1.5 million, seeks to reimagine Beth David in 3 key areas: strengthening our roots in such ways as improving our building and outdoor spaces, establishing an endowment, and exploring potential alternative uses of our facility, branching out by, for example, upgrading technology for improved access, growing outreach to make our community even more inclusive, and rethinking membership models, and helping our family, adult, and youth engagement blossom through innovations in our religious school, adult learning, and social justice initiatives. A group consisting of members of the board and the finance committee is currently helping to organize and refine specific ideas for utilizing these funds, which will ultimately be selected by the board. We will provide opportunities for input from the congregation on this process, so stay tuned for details. I'm thrilled to report that over the past several months, the first stage of the campaign raised over half of our goal through pledges from 100% of last year's board members, several past presidents, and a few other families. Now, I'd like to urge each of you, as essential members of our community, to join in the campaign. Soon you'll receive an email with a brochure describing the campaign and an invitation to participate, and will also be contacted by a member of our committee. You can join by making a contribution directly or by making a pledge to be paid in up to 3 years. I'm also very pleased to announce that another group of anonymous donors recently agreed to match up to $240,000 in pledges from the congregation, which will make your participation go even further. I hope you'll take advantage of the many ways to become more connected to our Beth David family. I'm confident you'll be happy you did. And if you want to help ensure Beth David has a thriving future for us and our children, please consider supporting our Three Paths campaign as generously as you're able. I wish you a meaningful rest of your fast and a sweet and healthy new year.